Catholic Radio, inviting you to encounter Jesus.
Morning, welcome back everyone. Closing in on 42 after the hour Central Time. And it is Monday, the 1st of February in the year of our Lord 2016. Good morning and welcome to Spirit Mornings. Bruce McGregor, Jen Brown, Matt Willkom by the Cabana.
42 after the hour. This is Spirit Mornings. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. And we have on the phone line with us an alumni and chairman of Sycamore Trust, Bill Dempsey. Good morning, Bill Dempsey.
Good morning.
An alumni of Notre Dame. And we're going to talk about what Sycamore Trust is and the organization. And it's a great sounding name, a strong sounding name. What exactly is this organization, Sycamore Trust?
Well, it does sound. It sounds awfully sound and, and financially secure, certainly. And people wonder about it. Well, those who are familiar with legends of Notre Dame would understand it, and I'm afraid there aren't very many of those. So let me just explain it. The sycamore, there's an ancient sycamore on the campus of Notre Dame overshadowing or overhanging the grotto. And I won't go into the legend, but there's a legend about a murdered Indian and that sort of thing associated with it. But it's known as the guardian of the grotto. And so we chose that name because Sycamore Trust is dedicated to the ensuring and strengthening of the Catholic identity of Notre Dame. And that Catholic identity, of course, is famously symbolized by the grotto. And so that's the origin of the name, and that's the purpose of Sycamore Trust. It is an association of Notre Dame alumni, students, some faculty, and friends of the university, families, and all of that sort of thing. People who are really dedicated to the idea of Notre Dame as the preeminent, authentically Catholic university in the country. Now, there'd be alumni of other Catholic universities that might dispute that, but that's our view of it in any case. And we became concerned about what appeared to be the weakening of that Catholic identity. It's been now, 15 years ago, when the vagina monologues broke on the scene at Notre Dame. But that's the character of the organization. We have a mailing list of, about 16,000 now, and we're growing, and we think securely established as an organization that, as I say, is dedicated to cooperating and strengthening with those forces at the university that are strongly Catholic, and there are many of them, and with reporting to alumni and the general public about those things that go on at the university that really collide with the idea of an authentically Catholic university. Right. But let me pursue that as you would like.
All right. Well, Bill, maybe just one other scrap of information here on Sycamore Trust. When was it founded? How long have you been in existence?
About 15 years. It was at the time of, no, wait a minute. No, that's not right. 10 years. I'm sorry, 10 years. The Vagina Monologues was first approved in 2001 by Father Malloy, the then president, and I got my dates mixed up because then it was next approved by Father Jenkins, the new president and the current president, about 10 years ago. And that was a great disappointment to many alumni who'd been led to believe by Father Jenkins's fine inaugural address to the faculty that he would no longer permit the performance of that play. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the play. I certainly wasn't. I got an email when we were up at Cape Cod one summer from a group of students that I didn't have any idea why they sent it to me, but they obviously sent it to a lot of alumni protesting the student performance of the Vagina Monologues. I got it, and I thought, well, this play has a very unhappy name, but it can't be all that bad. It's been on Broadway, and the difficulty must simply be that those in charge of Notre Dame really haven't read this thing, and maybe it's not so bad. But then I was in a bookstore, I happened to pick it up, And I warn you, this can be dangerous to your health if you ever see it. It's a very graphic encomium to lesbian sex. I mean, that's really what it is. And it's really pornography, and the idea of it's being performed by women at students at Notre Dame on a Notre Dame stage is really, to a lot of us abhorrent. And so when Father Jenkins disappointed a lot of alumni by approving the vagina monologues again, a number of us who had been in conversation about the situation in Notre Dame decided that, well, we really could set up an organization like Sycamore Trust because we have the availability of the internet. You couldn't do this, 20 years ago, but you can do it now. But then we got into there were letters in the Notre Dame newspaper by faculty sharply critical of the decision, and so we got in touch with some of the people at Notre Dame, and it became apparent very quickly to me and to all of us that the problem at Notre Dame wasn't simply they had the Queer Film Festival at the same time, which Father Jenkins approved also. But the problem really wasn't in these kind of transitory phenomena at Notre Dame. The problem was much more deep-seated, and it has to do with the deterioration of the Catholic presence on the faculty. And, I don't want to go into a lot of detail about that, but that is the fundamental problem at Notre Dame and in a more serious way, really, at almost all of the major Catholic universities in the country. I accept only Catholic University of America. And the history of the secularization of colleges and universities that are originally religious, whether it might be Lutheran or Methodist. I mean, who thinks of Duke as a Methodist university? But that's what it was. And Chicago University as Baptist, but that's what it was. And all of the religious character of those Protestant schools, of course, disappeared a long time ago. Catholic schools began on this trip of secularization back in the 60s, and it's progressed to a very large degree at all of the major Catholic universities, except, well, even at Catholic University and certainly at Notre Dame. And it's always, the secularization process always begins and it ends with the faculty. And the appearances of Catholicism or Baptist or Methodist, whatever it might be, remain for a long time. And alumni keep sending their children to those schools thinking that they were the same as they were when they were there, 25, 30, 40 years ago. But they're not. And eventually the whole religious culture collapses. Now, I don't mean to suggest that Notre Dame is near that collapse point, but the proportion, just to give you one fact, the proportion of Catholic faculty at Notre Dame declined from the around 85% or so back, quarter of a century ago, something like that, to 54% today, and a large number of those are simply nominal Catholics. And so what you have is what some of the professors there have characterized as a pretty small minority of dedicated and committed Catholics on the faculty. And that's really what, when you send a young boy or young girl to a university as a parent, you expect to a Catholic university, I think you expect reasonably that if you're going to pay over $60,000 a year, they're going to get and be sure to get an education that can genuinely be called a Catholic education, whether it be Catholic perspective in history or in English or in sociology, whatever it might be. Not that all of the professors are going to be Catholic by any means, but that a majority of them will be Catholic. And that's not true at Notre Dame. You can still get a wonderful Catholic education there if you select carefully. And a number of students do that. But by no means is it assured, and the odds are really against it. That's the problem at Notre Dame. Now, I've rattled on here for a long time without your asking me any questions.
We're speaking this morning with Bill Dempsey. He is the chairman of Sycamore Trust. Project Sycamore.com is where you can find out more information. Now, Bill, as it's hard to explain sometimes to individuals because it seems as though the secularization process that you talk about, people are like, but you have to be diverse in the hiring process and make sure that you are not being, the word I'm looking for is if you are discriminating against anybody in the process. We want to make people understand that there's no idea of discrimination here. The idea is if you are working for, like, say if you were working for a governor and you start with his platform, you would want a person that works for you to believe and understand everything on this platform that he's running. And people have a hard time understanding that with this religious liberty idea. If you're going to come into Notre Dame, you want people that are working there that are in belief of or want to follow this platform.
Yeah, that's a really good question and observation, Jen. And let me speak to that for just a moment. And let's be clear about this discrimination business. Now, Title VII that forbids discrimination by various, including schools, does not apply to Notre Dame as a religious organization. They can prefer and do prefer and say that they prefer Catholic applicants. But as a matter of policy, they don't discriminate. So let me give you. Right now, in the College of Arts and Letters, their goals are to hire 50% Catholics, 20%. How does it go now? 20% minorities and 20% women. All right. Now, those are just goals, but they do. Then, in the hiring process, they do accord, they say anyway, some preference so that if it's a tiebreaker, for example, and you're short of your Catholic goal, you will give it to the Catholic. If you're short of your minority goal, I mean, this is all theoretical, of course, but that's perfectly legitimate under the law, and it's necessary if you're going to maintain the Catholic, whether it be Catholic or Lutheran or Baptist or whatever it might be, in order to maintain the identity of your institution, you're entitled, as a matter of law, to give preference. Now, a number of Catholic universities don't do that at all. But Notre Dame has an excellent mission statement requirement with respect to faculty, and this is what it is. And I quote really word for word. The Catholic identity of the university depends upon, not nice to have, it depends upon the continuing presence of a predominant number of Catholic intellectuals on the faculty. And that's been, everyone agrees what that means is a majority of dedicated and committed Catholics on the faculty. Now, they just didn't make that up. That's rooted in Pope John Paul II's encyclical on Catholic education, and it's rooted in the American bishops' application of that encyclical, in which the bishops speak of a majority of Catholics dedicated to the witness of the faith on the faculties of Catholic universities. All right, so that's the goal, and the difficulty with it, if every Catholic that were hired at Notre Dame were a practicing Catholic, it would work out just fine. But of course they aren't these days. And it's an advantage to check the Catholic box when you apply, and that's the furthest that they go on it. If you check the Catholic box when you apply, you're counted as a Catholic, and that rakes in a whole number of people who are simply cultural Catholics, and that, but that's where we are. And if you want to guess as to the number of committed and practicing Catholics on the faculty, my guess, rooted in what people on the university faculty say, be around 25%, maybe 30%, something like that, in that range. well, that's something. I mean, that's not nothing. I mean, you can go to other universities, and I bet anything that you're going to get a smaller number at almost all of them. I think not at Catholic University probably, but and so that's what you have. So it's a place at which, and it's Catholic in many other ways. I mean, they have another goal, and that is to admit 85% Catholic students. Well, that's high. That's a lot higher than I would bet, and I probably include Catholic University here, I'm guessing, but I'll bet it's higher than any other major Catholic university. And they pretty much meet that. Now, again, you're drawing from the Catholic population in general, as we know.
Checking the box, checking the box and being Catholic.
Yeah, so you know what you're getting. Then you're not getting 85% of Catholic students who go to Mass every Sunday or anything like that any more than their parents do. What is the figure now? The Georgetown Carey Institute figure on weekly attendance at Mass is something around 25%, 27% of people who say they're Catholics.
Well, Bill Dempsey, tell us exactly what the Sycamore Trust is doing.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you asked that question, Jen. What we do is we publish newsletters frequently, and we report on things that go on at the university that nobody else reports on. For example, Notre Dame has established a student health program which results in free contraceptives and abortifacients being given to students, to Notre Dame students. Well, a lot of people don't know that, and when they do learn it, they kind of scratch their head about it. What is it? What's going on here? Everyone knew about it, knows about still, I suppose, the honoring of President Obama, the most dedicated and formidable opponent of the church on abortion and freedom of religion, but they get an honorary degree from Notre Dame. The addition to the Board of Trustees of people who are opposed to Notre Dame's position on religious liberty. They're abortion supporters. So there's one they had just recently. They've established a white privilege course. That's not an academic course. It's a course that trains Notre Dame students to go to white privilege conferences every year, which are, fundamentally anti-Christian, pro-homosexual marriage conferences and things of that sort. So there's a lot of that goes on. There are a lot of things that are very Catholic around the place, wonderful things that happen on the campus too, but everyone gets that information from the university. What we do is, it's something like the manager of, what heavyweight champion was it, but he had kind of a speckled record otherwise, and he said, there are a lot of good points about him. The trouble is the bad points, so that's what we report on, so that people understand what's going on here. And in order to do what we can to deter the university from taking those sorts of actions, then we support the student organization. They have a wonderful student organization, Catholic student organizations here, a very strong pro-life presence, and a number of other of them. And we provide support to them and encourage them all we can.
And highlight the things that they're doing?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Notre Dame has the largest delegation to the March for Life. This time they couldn't go, of course, but every year it's a wonder. They have a Faculty for Life group that is, I think, the largest in the country, and other institutes that are really good. So, it's still a wonderful place, and I don't think I've met a student there, and I've met a lot of them now, wonderful Catholic students that didn't really love it, despite the flaws that they see in it. And so, we love the university, and all that we want is to do what we can to strengthen the Catholic character of that place, and it's.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, people can find out more at ProjectSycamore.com, ProjectSycamore.com. The chairman of the Sycamore Trust with us this morning, Bill Dempsey. Thank you for taking time with us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
During this Catholic Schools Week. Take care, Bill.
All right. Thanks now.
All right. Bill Dempsey with us, again, chairman of the Sycamore Trust, ProjectSycamore.com, the website if you want to find out more information. And we're going to take a break. Got news at the top of the hour, and when we return, Sharon Doran joins us for today's edition of the Good Book Club, coming up next on Spirit Mornings.
A new way to start your day. It's Spirit Mornings with Bruce McGregor, Jen Brown, and Matt Willkom on the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. We have multiple